Welcome back, everyone. This is an introduction to information architecture, particularly talking about user interface design and user experience flow using Adobe XD. I have Adobe XD open right now. This is kind of the welcome page that you come to. It's usually on the Get Started. I have it basically on the, sometimes it might be on the Design or Collaborate or Design Systems. Usually is on the all, but just getting started here, actually this is usually what you see is the home link here when you open up XD. So you can pick out different sizes of what you're working with, whether you're going with like a particular apps framework or an Instagram story. For right now, we're going to go with web 1920 by 1080. But I always like to point out this Learn channel because if you're new to Adobe XD, this is a great place to get some easy tutorials that literally have the files built into Adobe XD. So if you open these up, say I go to this XD overview, it's going to open up a whole XD overview video, which is really awesome and kind of take you through a lot of the workflow of what's happening in Adobe XD, which is really nice. There's also create your first design, which takes you to another video here that kind of walks you through the whole process of creating your first design. Just a really nice system. And there's just a lot of really good tutorials in here all over. So there's the getting started stuff. There is the some of the design elements, creating your first designs. So just a whole lot of great videos that you can click through and check out on your own. Some actually come with like UI kits that you can download and all sorts of great stuff. So if you're looking for extra help beyond what I'm giving you here in this tutorial, this is a great place to come to. But just to back up for a second, what we're talking about here, we've already talked in a previous lesson about the beginning of information architecture, which is to create some site architecture or a nav architecture or a site map, as it's sometimes called. So we've gone through that kind of a wireframing process of figuring out, what are all my main links on my home page, then what are the sublinks off of that, and then what's the content in each of those subpages. Now, that is related to user interface design. Like you can't really have one without the other. You can't have your interface design if you haven't done some site architecture. So we've already started with site architecture. Now we're moving into this interface design and the user experience flow. So the interface design being what's really going to be laid out in our website. How's it going to be laid out? What's our navigation going to look like? How much space is it going to take up? Is there going to be a header area, a footer area? How big are image zones going to be? Text zones? And then the flow is really kind of studying how people then navigate through that flow. And that's a combination of all sorts of things. That's a combination of your design, the quality of your design. It's a psychology of the user. It's what they're used to in the past. It's, are they getting confused as they're moving through your website? What's the whole process? So it's a really, there's a lot of information here that goes into it and a lot to learn. This is really just scratching the surface of information architecture and UI UX design. So it's really a combination. Information architecture is a combination of content, the users that are coming to find that content, and the context in which they are accessing that content. So it's really a combination of different things. If someone gets frustrated and they're going to leave your website and go to another one. So it's really about user flow and the user experience and how you find yourself moving through a website and how some of the various design principles guide you along the way or you hit roadblocks along the way. So let's take a look at Adobe XD. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started here. Like I said, I'm going to click a web 1920 by 1080. There's different sizes in here that you can go from. You can do a 1920 by 1080, 1366, 1280 by 800 for smaller screens. But for our purposes, let's go with 1920 by 1080. That's why you also have, like, if I'm designing an app, I've got all these different iPhones, Google phones, all sorts of different stuff, Instagram stories, a lot of social media, Twitter headers, Facebook posts, covers, etc., and then some custom size options that you can come up with. But let's go with the web. So right off the bat, it's very familiar, right? If you're familiar with anything in the Adobe realm, there's a little bit of Illustrator here, there's a little bit of Photoshop. The actual design tools in XD are here on the left. I can drag out boxes. I can do things to the boxes. This is where all of my kind of content is. Do I want to have like rounded edges? Do I want to what are all the different ways that I want to explore these forms? Do I want to change the fill? Do I want to give it a border? You can make all sorts of things in here. You can do various alignments. You can grid things out. You can change the sizes manually. Personally, I'd rather do all of this in Adobe Illustrator, and you can just copy and paste right from Illustrator into XD. It has a pen tool, it has a line tool, basic shapes, it has a type tool, it has a an artboard canvas tool, and a zoom tool in and out. But honestly, like I said, 99% of the time, I'm going to Illustrator and I'm copying and pasting in, or I'm bringing in something from Photoshop. But I try to stick with vector stuff when I'm working in XD, just so if I do need to edit its basic properties, I can. So we have this design panel that we work with. This is where we're going to design out the layouts for our website. We also have a prototype stage we'll go to here in a minute that allows you to sort of prototype out how your various navigations, buttons, click-through experiences are going to work and where they're going to lead in your website. And then you've got the ability to share whatever you create and actually create a link that you can send out to folks to experience and to give you feedback on. So one of the things that I always like to get people to be aware of is that there's all these great UI kits. If you are new to what you're doing, there's UI kits for Apple iOS, for material design, for Microsoft Windows. There's tons of different stuff. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's already built in. Obviously I can open past stuff here. I can manage libraries, do a bunch of things. But if you click on those, you're going to get UI kits like this. So this is one on the Behance network that's sponsored through Adobe. This actually gives you this is a free Adobe XD download kit. I can download this, and this is basically what I'm going to end up with. I'm going to end up with a web and a mobile UI kit. And if I open up, like, say, the web kit, give it a second here. These are a whole bunch of components that you can work with, especially if you're new to UI, UX, design elements. This really gives you a great place to get started. Now, obviously, I got to zoom in here and take a look at everything. But say this first panel, this is all UI elements. So I've got all sorts of different like navigation styles, headers, call to action buttons, social media buttons. All of these things they're kind of grouped into these different sections here. And then I've got all sorts of different character styles, fonts, subheaders, bodies. These are the elements that are going to come from your designers as they're designing out your website, and then you can bring in here. But these are some pre-made ones for you to get started with. Maybe you don't know what your website's going to look like. So this is a great way for you to just kind of prototype and become aware. This is not the only kit out there. That's what's great, is there's a ton of different kits. So here's a couple of them. There's this one on the Behance network. You can really search for free UI kits. This is a really nice one on Adobe's website. There's Apple design kits, Google material design kits, AEM components, Microsoft UWP components, IBM designs, Amazon Alexa designs, Bootstrap, like all sorts of different directions you can go. And here's another one on SpecBoy. These are just a ton of free UI kits. They also sell UI kits, so people design these and sell them out there. But as a designer, you should be able to make your own, but I'm showing you these just to get started so you can kind of be aware of what's possible inside of Adobe XD. Because it's not just for websites, it's not just for apps, it's not just for social media. There's a lot of different ways you can approach using a piece of software like this, right? And hopefully this just gives you some inspiration on all the different design styles people are doing out there. So in my lesson, you'll be able to download some of these. I'll make sure they're linked on the YouTube page as well, okay? But let's just see. So once you get one of these kits, you can kind of copy and paste into your working document. So I can come back out here and I'm going to save this. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Actually, I want to save this as it's a cloud document. So I don't think there's a way. I think I can export it to my computer as well. We'll go over that in just a second here. But I'm going to save this as UI design style 1 and save. And then I believe I can save as a local document as well. So if I want to save that to my computer, oh, it's still, yeah, sorry, let me do that again. Save it as a local document. I can choose where I want to put that, so I can put that on my desktop as well if that's what I want to work from. So, definitely take advantage of the, it's very easy to have it up on the cloud if you're moving from computer to computer, or keep it local if you're just working off of one. So I'm going to kind of open up. You can see I have two different files open right now. So maybe I just want to kind of copy a little bit of what we have here. I'm going to go ahead and copy one of these nav bars. So I'm going to copy this one right here, and I'm going to bring it into mine. There's some really nice kind of like responsive, these are laid out to have sort of a responsive transform where elements stay in their places while I expand them out. XD does have some really nice features like that, but if I double click into it, then I can actually click on individual elements and move them around as well. So it's up to you how you want to manage them and get their spacings and everything like that, but it's a really powerful piece of software that you can do as you move around throughout, right? So I'm going to click off and kind of just get the group again, and then I can move this around wherever I want. I'm going to grab a few more features here. Let's just grab maybe one of these header sections over here on the right. There we go. It's kind of a feature zone. Bring it down a little bit, maybe make a little bit of a break here. Actually, I'll bring this in so it has a little bit of border around it, just to set it aside from like the main nav. There we go. And just one or two more features here. Let's grab a footer zone. That kind of looks like a footer to me. Excellent. All right, so now I can really kind of look into these components. Obviously, I can double click into them and decide, hey, I don't like the fill on that. I want to change this to a red color. Make sure you check and see what color you actually picked there. So I'm going to click on it here, make sure I get the hex value so I can change that on other ones. Actually, I'm going to go with like more of a, that's pretty bright. Let's go to like a little bit more of a orangey. There we go. That's pretty good. I can still read everything. So I'm going to copy this hex value, and then, I could change this in all of these if I want to. You can customize all these features. It's really just like pasting in any kind of like vector document that we want to work with. Maybe this one I actually want to go with a slightly lighter version of that. Or actually maybe like a darker version, just to bring that in a little bit more. So lots of possibilities of what we want to do. So I've started to design out a home page maybe. This is maybe, like I said, my home page that I'm working with. We could have some fun here. I'll call this home page. And then I can, duplicate. So if I grab my artboard here and I just click it, it's going to bring an artboard and put it just to the left. If I want to, I can move it over to the right by using my selection tool there. I just like to kind of work left to right. I can copy here and then paste, and it's going to paste right into the same location. Click over here, paste that right into location. So it's really meant for like prototyping out and sharing the same graphics. It's definitely designed to do that. See how it said reuse similar objects throughout your project. Very cool. And maybe I want to bring in a different element now from my template here for the next page just to show the difference between them. Let's zoom out and see what else we've got. Let's bring in one of these big call to actions. That's good. Let's bring that in. Obviously I would want to customize my colors and my fonts and everything in between. And maybe I want to scale this up a little bit. Cool. And let's do one more. Whoop. There we go. Get that third one in there. Again, I'm going to grab both of these and hold Shift this time and go over to this one, paste them in. And then I'm going to get one more element just so we can kind of see the difference. So let's go up into here, grab like a blog section. Okay. Let's grab this big brick. There we go. Actually, that one doesn't expand as easily, so that's fine. I'm going to put that right there and just bring in a second one right next to it. Cool. So I'm starting to get a pretty, interesting layout here. Maybe this is what I like, right? And now I want to get into the stage of like actually mapping out like where each of these different pages would go. where's my blog button going to go? Where's my explore button going to go? Et cetera, et cetera. So let's go and prototype that out. So we're going to go to prototype next. And here's where I'm going to start to have some fun, right? So I'm going to click on really any element. You can even have like a whole page click if you want to. But like maybe I want to see what happens if I click. I need to get in there. I had to double click it just to go into the group. But you see that little arrow? That allows me to make this connection here. So if I hit explore, I can drop it onto this page. And now that button is going to connect me to the explore page. And then if I click on this one, it's in there. Sorry, that's a little in there. Whoop. Of course, that button had to go right over top. And then I can get the blog button and come over here to the right and have that go to the next button, right? So lots of options there of what you can do. Now in here, I'll have to do the same thing. If I want explore, explore goes to this page. We're already on it. Maybe we don't want it to just like even be active because we're already on that page. But blog, I want to make sure that goes over as well to the blog page. And then maybe the home page is the contact page, Sorry, I have to zoom in on that little guy. There we go. And let's drag that over. So this is just kind of like setting up the navigation of how these little guys are going to feed to other pages. And then maybe even within here, I want to have a call to action here just to show you how within these bigger items, I can have this little guy click and come on to here as well. And all of these can be individual ones that go to pages. So I could either have the whole block, or I can come in and just have this one take me back to the home page. This is already a pretty complicated website, so I'm going to have to do a lot of linkages to make everything work properly. But very quickly, we start to get a process here that then we can preview. So if I come up here, I can either just preview it in my desktop. This is one for doing a device preview, particularly if I'm going to send this out to like a mobile device. I can actually download an app on that mobile device to do it. And then I can also invite people to view the document. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a preview right now. And I was on the wrong page there, so let me just make sure I'm on the whole thing. There we go. And now you can see I have Explore, Blog, and Contact. If I click on Explore, it's going to fade to that other page. If I click on Blog, it's going to go to the blog page. I believe I made this one go back to the home page. And I think I did one as well. No, on the Explore page. Whoop, let's go to Contact. I guess I didn't set those up properly, but yeah. If I go to Explore, I believe I had one or two of these. Maybe the first one. That's right. There we go. And then that goes to the blog as well. So it allows you to really create this experience of how these various navigations are going to work, right? And I can come back at any point if I go back to looking at these individually. Each of these various components has something going on, so I can click on that, and I can also play around with like the type of transition. Right now it's like on tap. It does the transition. I can have it do an overlay. I can have it do previous artboard. I can have things scroll. There's a lot of really interesting ways to use Adobe XD to create this experience. I can have it so that it's not just on a click or a drag. You have to drag something or a key that you have to press, or on a voice command. That's getting into stuff that like an app would do. But it really allows you to walk through, to design out maybe how you want your website to be laid out, and then to test how that flow works. Like, where do people get trapped on your website? What's confusing? Are all your navigations making sense? Et cetera, et cetera. So this is just a really brief introduction to Adobe XD. It's pretty powerful. When you do have where you want, you can then go to the share button up at the top. You can create a share link. It's going to actually put this up on like the Adobe server. And then it gives you a link that you can share, which is really great. So you could submit that link to folks and get feedback, et cetera, et cetera. And you can decide whether this is optimized for presentation, for development, for user testing, et cetera, et cetera. At any point, move back to the design phase or the prototype phase. And always remember to save. So very easy, simple program to use, but obviously pretty powerful, particularly when you combine it with these design kits or when you bring something in from Illustrator. I happen to have Illustrator open right now, so just to show you by example, I could come into Illustrator. I could make this big obnoxious star. Let me take down this the size of that. I can copy it, and I can bring it right in, and it's already editable in Adobe XD. So everything threads together really nice. If I come to prototype, you can see that that star can become a button just like anything else. You know, I can make that go to the home page as well. And then when I preview it, that star is a button that takes me to the next page. So have some fun, explore, check out some of those amazing tutorials that are here under the Learn section on the home page. You know, there's a lot of really great information in here. There's various UI kits that are linked in here, as well as the different videos that are going to help walk you through. Hopefully I can get you started and just kind of go from there, okay? Let me know if you have any trouble, and thanks for tuning in.